Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Evidence, and in today's video I am going to show you how to use Pandas Groupby function. So today's video is going to be a little bit long, so go ahead and grab your popcorns, sit down and enjoy. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get started. Earlier in this notebook I did import Pandas as PD. So if you see me using PD, it means Pandas. And I've already prepared our data set for this project, and this is kind of like a preview of what the data looks like. This is random data that are generated from the internet, so the data set itself doesn't really make sense, but it's just random data, but it's good enough for demonstration. So let's start by, let's say, group by using a key. So we can do df2.groupby, and here in parentheses, actually if you just do this without providing a key, it's going to throw an error. You have to provide by, like what do you want to use to do your grouping. So in this case I want to group by year, and this also is not going to give you the answer you're looking for. So if you just provide a key right here, it will just return the object location in memory. It's not going to give you any useful answer that you want. And why is this? The reason why just doing this gives you the object location in memory is because no computation is executed until an aggregate function is called on the group by function. So let's do the same thing we did above again, and let's put in year here, and here let's do something like dot max. And in this data frame, it shows you the maximum number for each column by year. That's what this is showing right here. And we can do something like dot mean. Now it's showing us minimum value for every single column by year. So you can call different aggregate functions on each one of your columns and group them by year or by any other metric that you want to use to group it. But in this case, I've specifically created this so that I can group it by year, just to make the tutorial easier. So right here, this is the mean for each column by year. And as you can see here, this has a lot of zeros at the end. This has a lot of numbers at the end. You can use round function on this. So you can highlight this and put in round. And then here, let's say we don't want any decimal, so we just put 0. So just like that, we've been able to take those long trailing numbers and round it off. So this right here is also a data frame. You can treat it as a data frame, so you can use indexing to get the value that you want. So for example, let's go ahead and save this to a variable. And let's go ahead and run this. Now if we do test.head, just like any other data frame, we'll be able to get this exact same information. Now .head shows you the first 5 column, but you can treat this right here, the result of your group by function, as a data frame, and you can use indexing to access a particular information. So you could do something like test and then put in number, and just like that it gives you just the information for the mean for the number column grouped by year. All right, and year right here is the index, is the names of the row. You can take this a step further by just saying I want the mean from the number column for the year 1970. So here you put in 1970, or here you put in 0. So if you putting in 0 here gives you the first, gives you what is located at row number 0. If you want to get the one for 2000, we'll put in 3, and it will give us the value related to the year 2000. So you can treat this as a data frame, and you can use indexing techniques to access the information that you need, the specific information you need. So if you already know which column and row you want, you can just select it from the get-go. So here in this situation, right, I took our group by function and put it in a variable that's a data frame, and then I did this indexing technique to get just the number column by year. I could do this from the get-go. I could do this in one line of code. So if you want to just get number column grouped by year, you can do that. So you just do df2.groupby, and then here you put in year, and then you follow it up by number, and then you do dot sum. This right here, we want to group it by year, and then we just want the information related to the number column in our data frame, and we want to get the sum of it, or we could do dot mean or dot whatever. So this is how you would directly select the column that you want without having to go through this manual process that I showed you earlier. So there's something called Pandas Describe. In a lot of my videos, I have done tutorials on Describe. If you go back and watch these videos on percentiles and NumPy and Python, I also go into detail about Pandas Describe and how to use it to get percentiles. And the thing is that you can combine Pandas Describe with Group By. So quickly, if I do df.describe, as you can see, it shows you information about each column. It gives you the count, the mean. Actually, this is df2. I'm working with df2 here. So it gives you the information. It gives you the count, the mean, standard deviation, minimum, maximum, and percentiles for every single column. And in that video where I do NumPy, Pandas, and Python percentiles, I go into detail about Describe. But focusing back on Group By, we can combine Group By function with Pandas Describe. And to do that, you just do df2.groupby, and then we want to group by year, and then the aggregate method we want to use is describe. So basically, instead of doing dot minimum or dot maximum, we use dot describe as the aggregate method. As you can see right here, first it groups it by the year, and then it gives us the describe function for every single column. Okay, so for the column number, these are the describe. So you can see here count, mean, all the way to max. Other information is right here for the number column, and then for the number 5 column, the exact same information, and all of this is grouped by year. So if this is like important to you, this is how you do combine the group by function and the describe function. Now this might become overwhelming if you have a whole lot of columns. You may want to do it for a specific column at a time. So let me show you how to do that. So basically you copy this, you do this exact same thing. And here, let's say we just want to do it for the number column. Here we specify number. And basically we have the exact same information above. So we have the description for the column number organized by year. So this is how to pull out just this information if you wanted to. And of course, you could save this to a data frame and treat it like a data frame and just pull out the information for count, for mean, for standard deviation if you wanted to. So the way this data is organized looks really good, but if you want it in a different organization, that is, if you want your year to be your columns and your count mean all the way to your marks to be your rows, you just do dot unstack. And if you do that, you can see and we have year right here, and then we have count, then we have mean, and then the corresponding year we have standard deviation the corresponding year. So if this is how you want your information presented for whatever reason, you use dot unstack. But I'm just gonna go ahead and comment this out because I like it the other way better. So you could combine multiple aggregate functions. So for example, you could do df2.groupby. If I can spell it right today. And then we want to group by year. And we want to do dot aggregate. And then in here we can do mean, max, and we can do something like np.median. So np stands for numpy. So I'll have to go ahead and do import numpy as np. Alright. So we can combine different aggregate functions. So instead of doing dot mean, dot max individually, you can get this information all at once. So if you're interested in the minimum, maximum, median, you can get all those informations just using dot aggregate and listing the aggregate functions that you want to use. And of course, like I showed you earlier, you can do this just for a single column if you wanted to. So if you wanted to get this information just for the year column, just for the number column, again, we'll just type in number here. And now we have the minimum, the maximum, and the median organized by year for the number column. So this is pretty neat. This is really, really cool. I'm liking this. I don't know about you. I enjoy stuff like this. So you could also use a dictionary to specify what aggregate function to apply to each column. Okay, so in this situation, the minimum, the maximum, and the median is being applied to the number column. But what if I want a minimum for the number column, maximum for the number 5 column, and the median for the number 2 column? We can also get that information by using a dictionary. So to do that, we do df2.groupby, and then we want to group by year, and then we do dot aggregate. And instead of putting in a list of the aggregate functions like we did earlier, we put in a dictionary. And here for the number column, we want to get the max. For the number 2 column, we want to get the minimum. And I think for the number 5 column, we want to get np.median. So we go ahead and run this. As you can see right here, this is exactly what we want. Okay, so this is organized by the year column. And for the number column, we have the maximum values. For the number 2 column, we have the minimum values. And for the number 5 column, we have the median values. So this is really good. This is a great way to organize your data if you're interested in this. I love the Pandas Groupby function. Like, it's just amazing. And it does like so much stuff for you. You could also index using multiple columns. If you want to just get information for like 2 columns, you can also do that. So to index using multiple columns, you just do df2.groupby, and then we want to group by year. And here, instead of just putting number, you put in number, comma, number 2, and then you can do dot sum or dot median. So basically, right here, it's gonna group this data frame by year, but it's just gonna return only two columns. Those are the columns you specified here in this situation, number and number 2. Those are the only two columns it will return right here. So you could select just for the columns you want using this technique. So you could also filter your data based on certain criteria, and it will only return the rows where the criteria is met. Let me show you what I mean real quick. So we can do something like df2.groupby, and we want to, let's say, group by number, and let's say dot filter, and then here we put lambda x number 3 dot median is greater than 9,000. So basically what we are doing right here is, let me go ahead and run this first. So what we are doing right here is, right, we are saying we want you to filter our data based on this criteria. We only want you to give us the rows where the median for the number 3 column is more than 9,000. And as you can see at all these results, all the results we get here is more than 9,000 for number 3. So you can use a similar technique to be like, only give me rows where the number 2 is more than 300 or is less than 300, or only give me the rows where the number 5 is less than 1,000 or more than 1,000. And so you can use similar technique to filter your data and only get the information that you want. Right here, what you use to group it by doesn't matter too much. What matters the most is your filter function. This is how you will use group by to filter your data. You could also transform your data in place. Let me show you what I mean in a second. So for example, you can use the transformation method where, let's say for example, you subtract the group mean from each value. So you could do something like df2.groupby, and let's say we want to group it by year, and then we do dot transform, and then we do lambda x minus x dot mean. So basically what we are doing right here, let me go ahead and run this first. As you can see, it's a lot of numbers, but I just want to show you the first 5 numbers for example purposes. So I'll go ahead and do dot head. Dot head just shows you the first 5 numbers, and I can input something like 10 here, and let's say get the first 10 if I'm interested in that. But the first 5 is okay for me here. So basically what I'm doing right here is I want you to perform this transformation on this data set. Way to read lambda x in this situation is this right here is the output, and this is the mathematical operation that I want to perform on the output. So I want you to give me x, which is, let's say in this case 210, and I want you to subtract the mean of each value from that particular value. So subtract the mean of this column from that particular value and then return that. So we can write code like this to perform a specific transformation on our column and return this. If you're interested in doing something like this, you could use the transform method. And And just to quickly show you again how this works, I'll go ahead and do df2.head, and then I'm gonna do df2.group by, and then I want to group by year, and then I want to do .mean. I went ahead and put out my calculator to manually explain to you how this code here works and how we're able to get these numbers using this code. So if you look right here, let's use this one for example. This right here is in the number column. If I go ahead and do 752, right? In the number column, the first row belongs to the year 2010. If I go ahead and take this value, which is my x in this situation, 752, and minus it for the mean for that particular year. All right, if you scroll down here, you see that in the number column for the year 2010, the mean is 541. You can see that the value is 211 minus these extra numbers at the end. So that's why we have 210.833, which rounds up to 211. That will kind of explain to you a little bit how this lambda function works, and I hope that helps. Next, I'm going to show you how to use the apply function. So you can use the apply function for almost anything because it's really flexible, but you have to make sure the function for apply takes a data frame and returns a pandas object or a scalar. And for this example, I'm just going to normalize the first column using the sum of the second column. So let's go ahead and create a simple function. Our x is our data frame, so we pass in a data frame into this function, and then we set our x at the number column slash equal to x at the number column 2 dot sum, and then we can return x. Okay, and instead of, let's say, doing number here and number 2, we can just put column 1, column 2. If you really want to modularize everything, you can put in column 1 here and put in column 2 here. That is if you really want to get specific, and then when you call this function, you pass in the value for column 1 and pass in the column name for column 2. But in this situation, I will just leave it as number 1 and number 2. Well, actually, let me just go ahead and do this. Let's group by, and let's group by year, and then we do dot apply. We want to apply our normalize function that we just wrote, and in this situation, I want column 1 and column 2 as my columns. I'll go ahead and specify it here just so I won't complicate things. And then let me go ahead and run this, and let's see what our results should be are. All right, so actually I'm gonna do, let's say, dot head just to give me the first 5. All right, so basically we are normalizing the first column by the second column. I made a typo here. Let me go ahead and run this again. So this is one way that you could utilize the apply method along with Pandas Groupby function. So it's really versatile. You can put almost anything in this function, and then you just do dot apply normalize, or dot apply, then you call your function here, and then you can do dot head just to get the first 5, or remove this and get all of it. You can also split your data frame using a list that is the size of your data frame, and this is gonna make sense in a second. So as you can see here, let's look at the size of our data frame. Our data frame, if we do length of df2, you can see that our data frame is about 100 rows long. Let's go ahead and create an array. So we can do something like array is equal to 0, 1, 2, 3. And then let's multiply this by 25. Let me just want to preview, like, let's say the first 20, for example. So basically, we can see right here, this list right here multiplied 25 times. So this is 25. This is 100 in length. So we have 0, 1, 2, 3, 0, 1, 2, 3, 0, 1, 2, 3, multiplied 25 times. And if we do length of AR, we can see that it's 100, which is now the size of our data frame. So we can use a list like this that is the same length as our data frame to split our data frame. And to do that, you just do df.groupby. And here we want to group by AR, which is the array we just created. And let's do dot sum. Oh, df2. My bad. So as you can see right here, our data has been organized by this. So we provided a list of 0, 1, 2, 3 times 25, and our data frame has been organized using this array, using this list that we provided. As long as the list is the same size in rows as your data frame, you can use it to group your data frame. You can also use a dictionary to map the group function. So first, I'm just gonna reset our index. Okay, let me go ahead and do this. So we can do df3 is equal to df2.setIndex. We want to set our index to the year column. And here we can do df3.head. As you can see right here, our index, our year column, is now our new index. So we can do something like map is equal to, we can do 1970. We want 1970 to now be called the 70s. So we can use a mapping technique like this where we say, and we want 1970 to be called the 70s. We want 1980 to be called the 80s, 1990, so forth and so on. Okay, and after doing this, we can do df4. We can just create a new data frame equal to df3 dot group by, and we want to group by map and dot sum. For example, oh, df4 dot head. As you can see right here, right? So first we set our index to the year column, and then we change the naming of our index. So you can use this technique to change the name of your index. So now the name of our index is the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, the 2010s. So this is pretty cool. You could utilize a technique like this to give stuff different names. So you can use Python built-in function with Pandas Groupby function, like lowering the string in the index. Let me show you what I mean. So you could do something like df4, which is this data frame right here, dot groupby, and here you do string.lower, and then dot, let's say dot mean or whatever. As you can see right here, it's the exact same information, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, but now the strings has been lowered. I'm using Python string function. So instead of capital letter T, it's now small letter t. So you could use other Python built-in Python functions like lowering the strings in your data frame group by function. Like I said, Pandas group by function is really, really versatile, and it's like so good, and you have so many options. There's so many things you can do. I just love it. So you can also combine functions like mapping and strings. So first I showed you how to use mapping So like let's say rename your columns, and I showed you how to use strings to lower your strings from uppercase to lowercase. And this right here is our DF4 data frame. I'm gonna be using it again. As you can see, this is what it originally looks like. The 70s, the 80s, the 90s, stuff like that. So I went ahead and created this, which is, I call it map 2. And this right here is basically the exact same thing here. We want to change the 70s to 70. We want to change the 80s to 80. We want to change the 90s to 90. So forth and so on. So our df5 is the same thing as our df4. I didn't want to override this. So let's do df5 dot group by, and here we want to do string dot lower, and then we want to do map 2, and then let's just do dot min so we can get an output. So basically what's going on here is like first is going to lower the strings. First is gonna take the 70s and turn it from uppercase there to lowercase there. All right, and then it is going to apply this second mapping to it. So we are going to have 70 next to the 70s, and we're going to have 80 next to the 80s. Let's go ahead and run this. Okay, this didn't come out as planned. And let me go ahead and change my data frame a little bit. Okay, so the way I had it before, the index wasn't set properly. When this is df3 and the index is year, all right? And when I did my df5 here, basically what I did is like rename the index from 1970 to the 70s. So I want to be very explicit with what the index is. Now, if we run this, it will come out right. Okay, that's what I was expecting. So as you can see right here, first it does the string.lower, which means it converts this from capital letter to small letter there, and then it puts it as 2k. And then we have for the 2010s it does 2k10, and then 70s it does 70. So first it lowers the string, then it applies the mapping. So this is one technique. This is one way for you to combine different Python functions alongside your group by function. To get access to this notebook that I use in today's video, just go to machinelearningeducation.com, and once you are here, you just click on free data science resources, and you'll be able to get access to this page. This right here is where I put all my data science notebooks. I create a lot of YouTube videos and a lot of blog posts, and I end up with a lot of notebooks, and I just find it easier and more straightforward to take all those notebooks and put it under one platform. So that's machinelearningeducation.com/free. That is where I keep my data science tutorial Python notebooks. And you can also find me online at evidencen.com. This is my primary website where I have my data science blogs. And as time goes by, I'll add more and more stuff to my data science blog posts. And once you are here, you can also click on free data science resources and you'll be able to get access to this page. That's basically it for this video. Quickly, I am going to recap. So first, I showed you how to group by using a key, and then I showed you can round stuff off if you want to make it look nicer. And then I showed you how to do indexing. Then I showed you how to do indexing in one long sum without doing it manually like this. And then I showed you how to use the describe function with the group by function. Then I show you how to combine different aggregate measures, and then how to combine different aggregate measures for a single column. Then I showed you how to use a dictionary to get different aggregate measures for different columns. And then I showed you how to filter your data frame using a lambda function and a group by function. Then I showed you how to transform your data using a lambda function and a group by function. And then I went ahead to explain to you a little bit what this means or how this works. Then I showed you how to use the apply function and how to build a function. And I also mentioned that you could build any function that you want and then use the .apply method. And then I showed you how to split your data using any list that you want. Just make sure that your list is the same length as your data frame. And then I showed you how to reset your index and then change the index name, that is the names of the rows, using the mapping function with your group by function. And then I showed you how to lower your strings, how to use the string.lower. Then I show you how to combine mapping with string lowering. That's basically what we covered today. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. If you made it this far in this video, but you didn't like it, please give it a double thumbs down and still subscribe to the channel. That's it for today's video. Thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you on the next one. Bye.